Hey guys, for today's video, I'm going to talk about a movie I had just watched called Perfect Blue. Perfect Blue was made in 1997. The movie was directed by Satoshi Kon. Now, Satoshi is known for his psychological thriller movies. Another one of his works I plan on doing a review on is Paranoia Agent. Perfect Blue is a very distressing movie to watch. It's extremely hard to understand, and it really makes you feel bad for the main protagonist. To summarize quickly what the movie's about, the story follows Mima Kirigoe, and she is a pop singer for a little group called Cham. She leaves Cham to become an actress, and there is this little fight that breaks out at that concert before she announces that she's leaving. And that's when we're introduced to this stalker character who appears multiple times throughout the film. But just from the design of the stalker character, it's implied that there's something wrong with him, like he's gonna be the antagonist of the story, one of the few. Mima becomes the actress and is given one line on a TV show. And the TV show kind of plays into the story. It's hard to explain. The TV show that she's on kind of ties into the real world, and it's hard to understand if she is blending real life with the show she's acting in, or if they're coincidentally happening simultaneously. The further Mima strays away from the life she used to have, the more she is interrogated by this other version of herself that continued to be a pop idol. When she goes back to working as an actress, they try to get her to do a really disturbing scene where she is assaulted, and her agent, I don't really know what Rumi is supposed to be, but Rumi declines and says you can't do that to her. But Mima says that she is fine with it. Now, she does the scene. It is extremely disturbing to watch. And she goes home and sees that her fish are dead, and just has this panic attack, or that's how I would describe it at least. And what's great about this is that people are very capable of acting calm when things are really hard on them, but then it's the little things that push them over the edge. And this scene with the fish being dead was that scene, and she starts yelling like, I didn't even want to do it, but I didn't want to inconvenience the people that got me here. I think that this movie says a lot about women in the entertainment industry. This is a path that a lot of them fall into, whether they wanted to or not. Of course, most of them don't want to. But when you have all these male producers who are just pigs, it's like she had no other choice. It's either be successful and feel degraded, or don't make it. Aside from her acting career, she is being bombarded by kind of clues that she's being stalked. The first one was a phone call to her apartment, and then a fax that said traitor. She's being called a traitor by a fan of Cham who didn't want her to leave and thinks that the new Mima is not the real her. And even she doesn't feel like she's the real her. And that's a huge part of this movie. It's just that her identity is, she doesn't know who she is anymore. She keeps insisting that she is an actress now, this is her, but deep down she doesn't feel like it is. And this stalker character can be seen everywhere she goes. I think his name is Memania. There's also this violent loop happening around. The first one being a letter that was written to Mima that explodes in the producer's face because he opened it. I call everyone a producer. I'm pretty sure he was something else. And no one reports it to the police, and Mima is just concerned because someone was trying to kill her, and someone is sending her faxes, and someone is calling her apartment, and they know where she lives. Rumi ends up helping her set up the internet, and she goes on this webpage about her where someone has been posting all of her actions, like where she is all the time, what she's doing, what she's thinking. And it turns out to be the Memania, the stalker, and he's having this weird thing where he's being the real her because the her that she currently is doesn't seem like the real her. And this is just a really weird identity thing. It goes deeper than just an obsessive stalking. It's like he is trying to become her. She's just trying to figure out who she is. But yeah, her career continues to exploit her. She's set up with a photographer who makes her pose completely naked. And then that's printed on magazines that all her fans look at. And it's just this innocent depiction of her from the beginning of the movie has been completely ruined, which, I mean, if that's what she wanted, it would have been fine, but it clearly isn't. At this point is where the movie becomes really hard to understand, and I'm not even sure what exactly happened and what exactly is in her imagination. There's a scene where she's on the TV show and they talk about her having a dissociative identity disorder, and for a moment I thought that maybe oh, none of that was real and it was all in her imagination, because they say that she thinks she was a pop star and all that stuff. But then it cuts back to them filming the show, and then I think maybe that's just part of her act. It's really complicated, which makes it seem like the stalker character is also part of the show and not actually stalking her. Also unclear, but also I'm pretty sure he was stalking her and pretending to be her. There's a scene where he attacks her and confronts her about how she's not the real her and that he has to kill her. And then I'm not even sure if that was real or not. There's a scene where she kills the producer people that she was working for, and then she doesn't remember it, and then she finds evidence that she did do it. And it's very confusing, and I'm sure that the intent is to not make it clear what exactly happened, and I think that instead of trying to figure out what's real and what isn't, you're supposed to just take it in and absorb this information. The point of the story isn't what happened and what didn't happen. The point of the story is this metamorphosis of this character. She lost herself and quite literally can't figure out if she's real or not anymore, which takes us towards the end of the movie when she's encountered by that other version of herself that's been tormenting her all this time. And it turns out to be Rumi, the woman who was basically her agent. And Rumi tries to kill her for the same reason I assume the stalker was trying to kill her. She thinks that she's her, but like the previous version of her that was just a pop idol. And they have this really disturbing fight where she's trying to stab her with like a screwdriver and they're running away. And Rumi ends up impaling herself on glass and then running out into the street, where she has this scene where she looks over at Mima and just smiles before a truck hits her, and she does this like opening pose like she's in front of a stage light, like Mima did at the beginning of the movie when she was performing, and then Mima jumps in front of her to push her out of the way, to which the movie ends on a lighter note. Rumi is I'm assuming getting psychiatric help as well as like physical therapy, and Mima learns that she does exist and she is herself. And this movie is just a roller coaster. I love psychological thrillers. I definitely want to review more of them in the future. I love being confused by these kinds of movies because then you have something to sit and think about after you've finished watching it. It's really interesting seeing the time period it takes place in, because she didn't even know how to use the internet and she had to have it set up for her. And I think that, I don't know, it was in that late analog, late VHS time period, and it just worked really well with the story being told. It could be adapted to modern time, but I think that I wouldn't change anything about this story. It was a masterpiece. Just what a character study this film was. I can't comprehend the whole thing, and I feel like I'm not supposed to, but it makes you want to watch it again and see if there were other things that you missed. Let's see, what would I rate this movie? I feel like if I give it a 10, it'll be like, oh, he gives everything a high rating. I don't, but this movie's really high up there. I'm gonna say Perfect Blue is a 9.5 out of 10. And I can't wait to watch more movies by Satoshi. I guess this was less of a review and more of a summary. Anyways, if you've seen this movie, comment what you think. If you haven't, I just spoiled the whole thing for you. Let me know if there's a different movie you want me to watch and make a video about. And also jump in my Discord server. We'll talk about anything. But anyways, thanks for watching.